She said yes to a bolt, not a diamond, and the whole room laughed like I'd just told the dumbest joke of my life. Would you marry for love if everyone around you pointed and sneered? Be honest, would you take that ring, or would you wait for the box with velvet and a spotlight? My name is Gabriel Wilson, and for a while I did everything I could not to be Gabriel Wilson. 31 years old, top-floor office skyline like a trophy case and a calendar full of meetings where people shook my hand because of my last name. 47 blind dates in 2 years, 47 smiles that melted the second I told the truth. The truth was simple and it felt like it had teeth. I couldn't have children. The air would change when I said it, the eyes would slide away, a phone would light up with a fake emergency, and I'd go home feeling like a walking disqualification. You know what I mean. My grandmother tried to fix it, the only way she knew how. Judy Wilson Kane that hits marble like a gavel, love that could stop a storm, absolutely not subtle. She slammed a list of names on my desk one morning and told me to wear something that made me look less lonely. I laughed, but when she left and the door clicked shut, the city looked different through the glass, like I was staring at my life from the outside. I saw the suits, the driver waiting downstairs, the watch that could buy a small house, and the face of a man who wasn't being seen, only measured. So I did something you'll either call brave or foolish. I took off the armor. No watch, no driver, no yes, sir security shadowing my steps. Just a plain t-shirt, faded jeans, and work boots scuffed enough to tell a story. I walked past a construction site so the dust would settle into me, took the train with everyone else and checked a mirror by the door like a kid sneaking out at midnight. I said it out loud so I'd have to mean it. Let's see who loves me when I have nothing. The diner sat a few blocks off the avenue, the kind of place where the pie is always under a glass dome, and the waitress calls you honey because she actually likes you. Ceiling fans hummed, forks clinked. There was a soft radio in the corner, playing a song I hadn't heard since high school. I was early staring at the clock like it owed me answers when a voice broke the air, careful and warm. Are you Gabe? She didn't look like any of the 47. No performance, no sparkle for show. Blue dress hair pulled back, a notebook tucked under her arm like she came from somewhere that mattered. Hands a little rough, the kind of rough that says, I do things myself. Emily. We sat. She ordered tea, I ordered water, and the silence stretched like a tightrope until I decided to step first. I should be honest up front, I said, leaning in, choosing the words, the way you choose a path in the dark. I'm not rich. I don't have a car. I pick up construction work when I can. I sleep on a couch. I'm terrible at laundry, and I've failed more than I care to count. If any of that bothers you, we can end this now. This is where the flinch usually lives. The flinch, the fake smile, the sudden text from a friend who just remembered she's stranded at an airport. But Emily just listened, really listened, and then she said 8 words. I can still feel in my chest. I want to build a life, not buy one. We talked for an hour, and none of it was about money. It was about the book she never finished, because life got busy, the smell of rain on hot pavement, the dumb middle school haircut. I'm begging you never to look up. She told me her parents fought over status like it was oxygen, that she learned early the difference between a partner and a performance. She said she wasn't looking for a ready-made life, she was looking for a person to build with, brick by brick, honest, and a little uneven. I felt something loosen in me that had been tight for years. Under a flickering streetlight outside, I did the bravest, dumbest, most honest thing I've ever done. I told her the other truth. I can't have children, I said softly, braced for the old pain, the air going thin. She stepped closer, put her voice somewhere that didn't sound like pity, and said, That doesn't make you less of a man. Families are built in all kinds of ways. What matters is who shows up. Time-thinned traffic sounded far away, and I reached into my pocket and pulled out the only circle of metal I had, a tiny silver nut from a bolt. I knelt on a cracked sidewalk with a bolt instead of a diamond, with dust on my boots and my heart beating out of my chest, and I asked her to marry me. She smiled a smile that reached her eyes, and she said yes. Yeah, that happened. We got a license at a registry office with a plant that needed water. No photographer, no doves, just 2 signatures and a promise spoken like a prayer. I took her to a small apartment behind a bakery, the ovens fired at dawn, and the whole place smelled like we lived inside fresh bread. The kitchen was the size of a closet. The window creaked. The couch had a spring that would pinch your back when you forgot where it lived. Emily looked around, turned in a slow circle and said, "Perfect." We burned rice and laughed at the smoke alarm. I left pencil notes on the fridge that said things like, "Buy milk and you are enough." She saved bus fare so I could rest my legs after long days. For the first time in years, the quiet at night wasn't emptiness, it was peace. Pattern interrupt. Then we ran into her stepsister. Rachel, heels like knives on tile, designer coat, coffee cup held like a crown. She looked me up and down the way you examine gum on your shoe. "I heard you got married," she said to Emily, voice like sugar with glass in it. "Didn't expect you to pick a nobody." Emily's jaw tightened. She lifted her chin and said, "Married someone kind, someone real." Rachel laughed, said I probably counted coins at the grocery store, said her fiancé, Travis, was a manager at a very important company, said Emily could have had her life. That line snagged in my mind. My life, like people are chairs you can swap at a table. I didn't clap back. I carried the oranges we'd come to buy and walked home with Emily's hand in mine, thinking not about what she said to me but about how she spoke to Emily like she was nothing. That night, while Emily stood over a pot, humming a tune from childhood, I sent a message to Mr. Grant, my aide, and asked him to make sure Emily's resume got seen at Rivertech. No cheating, no fake titles, just a fair shot. She did the rest. Within a month, clients were asking for her by name. The quiet girl in the blue dress was lighting up conference rooms. This should be the happy ending, right? Girl meets boy, yes to a bolt, build a life. But real life doesn't care about neat endings, Rachel found out. When someone builds their identity on status, your joy sounds like an insult. She leaned on Travis, a manager promoted through back channels, the kind of guy who always knows a shortcut and never knows the bill. Suddenly, Emily's emails vanished, files got corrupted. A plagiarized deck showed up under her login. HR called her in faces, stern papers printed like a verdict. "If it were you, what would you have done?" I didn't hear it from Emily. I heard it from a quiet alert system I'd set up because love made me careful. Certain keywords tied to her name, a ping when something dangerous circled. My phone buzzed in a board meeting about a Japan deal. I stood up and I ended the meeting with 2 words nobody liked. "We're done." I headed for a ballroom where Rachel was getting married because the invitation Emily got said to use the staff entrance, and I decided no. Picture it. Chandeliers, roses, a room polished within an inch of its life. Emily in a plain black dress, carrying a tray because when someone is determined to humiliate you, sometimes the fastest way through is to let them underestimate you and not break. A tipsy man tried to force a glass into her hand. Rachel raised her voice to draw a circle of eyes. She married a man who counts coins at the grocery store. People laughed, ugly laughter, the kind that tries to shrink you. "Do you think that's fair?" I walked in. Dark suit hair, slicked back shoulders, remembering a posture I thought I'd shed. I took the glass out of Emily's hand and set it down gently. Then I asked the room a simple question. Are we celebrating cruelty now? Rachel rolled her eyes. Who invited the janitor? Travis smirked and said, wearing a suit doesn't make you rich. I turned so everyone could see my face, and I told the truth without raising my voice. I am Gabriel Wilson, CEO of Wilson Corporation. Silence has a sound. You'll know it if you've ever been laughed at, and then watched a room realize they got you wrong. A regional manager pushed through with a phone pulled up, my profile nodded too fast, and the laughter snapped off. I fired Travis on the spot for fraudulent promotion and harassment. I banned Rachel from Wilson Properties because her cruelty wasn't a joke, it was a policy she lived by. Security stepped forward, people gasped. A glass cracked somewhere like punctuation. Emily touched my sleeve, eyes on me, voice steady and breaking all at once. There's no need to pretend. I'm not pretending, I told her. She searched my face, then said the sentence that stripped me to the frame. I loved you for you, but you didn't trust me with the truth. She walked out. I stood in a room full of people who would have done anything to shake my hand, and I felt worthless. I went home to my grandmother. Judy listened, didn't flinch, tapped her cane once and said, "Love is built on truth. You were afraid, fix it." She's right more often than I want to admit. Days later, Emily texted me 4 words that made my hands shake. I think I'm pregnant. I ran to the clinic. We held hands in the waiting room like teenagers. Gel cold on her stomach, the machine humming a little white flicker on the screen like a lighthouse. The doctor smiled, said, "Congratulations, 6 weeks." The word that shot out of my mouth before I could stop it was impossible. She tilted her head, kind and calm, said, "Bodies surprise us. Timing does what it wants. Call it a miracle if you need to." We laughed and cried, yeah, at the same time, and I made a vow right there. No more masks, no more half-truths, because I'm scared, no more protecting love by starving it of honesty. We moved to the mansion not as a test or a trophy, but because home is the place where you care for your people. Stick around because what happened next will blow your mind. Rachel and Travis tried one more time the kind of plan that only sounds smart to people who never had to clean up their own mess. Drug me at a dinner stage, photos plant doubt, break the ground we were building on. That same night, Travis slipped into the house and grabbed Emily, told her to cooperate for a few pictures, make it look like she cheated, make me doubt, make the word impossible turn into a weapon. I came home groggy and furious. Security flooded the halls. We had cameras where we needed them, because love doesn't mean being naive. Police handcuffs, Rachel screaming, she was family, while I looked at her and said the thing I meant with my entire soul. You stopped being her sister the day you tried to destroy her. If it were you, would you have said the same? For a few days, we had quiet. Grandma Judy declared an actual wedding for us, a celebration without shame, and a baby party because she believes joy should be loud. Sun through tall windows, fresh flowers everywhere, the staff smiling, because the house finally felt like a home, not a museum. Then one morning I told Emily I needed to check an old site at Canal Street, a gas line that made me nervous. She asked me not to go, told me about a dream that clung to her like smoke steel, my ring on the ground. I kissed her forehead and promised I'd be quick. Canal Street was fenced off, and quiet wind moving caution tape like a flag, concrete scarred and listening. I stood with a clipboard in the center when my phone buzzed with a blocked message. You should have left her when you had the chance. The smell of gas hit like a memory. You don't want a small burst snapped, a pipe sparks danced, and I thought not today. Emily pulled up without a coat, hair still damp, keys tossed on the hood. She ran screaming my name, and in that sound was every good thing I've ever wanted. I ran too. The wall behind us gave out with a cough of dust and flame. We hit the ground, sirens rising, firefighters shouting. One of them looked at me, soot-streaked, and said what I already knew. This was set. Back home, grit still on my teeth, I told Emily I was done letting other people write our story. We hired a private investigator, with a voice like sandpaper, who liked to say, "Truth is cheaper than a lie if you buy it early." He found things that connected like wire. Prison logs, payments, messages, sent in a hurry by people who thought fear could outrun evidence. 3 days later, in the middle of our baby celebration, pastel dresses and a cake with tiny booties and a banner that said, "Welcome, baby Wilson," the gates opened, and the investigator walked in beside a quiet officer, and they arrested Rachel for attempted murder and for buying her way out of a cell. Silence, then my grandmother started clapping, and the whole garden followed. We had a second wedding under a gold arch, because sometimes you have to rewrite the rooms where you were humiliated and fill them with people who love you. Emily walked toward me in satin. I promised her not perfection, but truth, not safety, but presence. And we said yes, again louder this time. That night, the house was finally quiet in the right way. There's one more moment I need to tell you about, not for applause, but because it mattered. Emily visited Rachel in prison, not to gloat, to close a door. Rachel said what bitter people always say when the game they rigged turns on them. "You stole my life." Emily looked at her through the glass and said, calm and clear, "You threw yours away, trying to destroy mine." I wasn't there, but when Emily told me, something heavy lifted. Months later, our daughter was born. We named her Hope because that's what she is. If you've ever stood in a hospital at night, machines clicking like sleepy crickets, and watched a human so new they look like sunlight, you know there aren't words big enough. My grandmother pressed a hand to her heart and whispered a thank you that sounded like relief. I stood there overwhelmed and a little useless and told Emily the only sentence my mouth could manage. We did it. Here's the part that might start a fight in the comments, and I'm not mad if it does. Was I wrong to hide who I was to find out who would stay? Is lying about wealth the same kind of lie as cheating? Or is it more like taking the labels off a can so someone has to taste the soup? Where's the line between protecting your chance at being seen and manipulating someone's choice? And on the other side, why do we treat infertility like a verdict instead of a circumstance? Why do we measure people by what their biology can stamp on a birth certificate instead of the way they show up when life gets hard? Do you think that's fair? I learned some things the loud way. Love that survives humiliation is stronger than love that never gets tested. Truth told late is still truth, but it costs more, and you have to pay that bill with patience and accountability. Power used to humiliate turns to ash in your mouth. Power used to protect becomes shelter for people you love. And the person who said yes to a bolt on a cracked sidewalk is still the person I choose every morning when sun hits the kitchen window and burns the toast just a little. So let me ask you plainly, if the world laughed at your love because it didn't look like a billboard, would you still say yes? If it were you in that ballroom, would you have walked out or forgiven on the spot or both in time? And if someone lied about money to escape being a target and you found out later they were trying to protect something fragile, would you call it a deal breaker or a human mistake? Be honest. You know what I mean. If this hit you anywhere, real talk to me. Drop your take in the comments. Tell me where the line is. Tell me if you think I crossed it. Tell me if you've ever been judged for what you don't have or for something your body can't do. Me the moment someone chose you when you were down to dust and honest sweat. Stick around. If you want more of these messy, true stories, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And before you go, answer me straight. Would you marry for love if the room was laughing, And when the lights came up, would you still be holding that hand?